What's up, guys? One of the most sabotaging emotions that we can feel is fear. So why then is fear the most dominant emotion on our planet? You see, from fear stems a plethora of other negative emotions such as anxiety, stress, worthlessness. The list could go on and on. So to understand how fear interferes, you see how fear is in the word interfere? That's awful. We're keeping it. Here's the story. Imagine for a second that in the back of your brain there's a computer monitor, and images show up on the monitor based on your thoughts, your memories, the focus of those thoughts and memories, and your sensory input. To illustrate this, imagine for a second that you walked into a home where somebody had just baked a bunch of apple pies. You smell it before you see it. But in the back of your mind, the computer monitor, immediately pulls up an image of apple pie. Once something is on the computer monitor, then your body immediately begins to respond. Like in this example, the response is the subconscious automatically starts the digestive process in the body. This is an appropriate response. Now, let's alter the situation slightly. Let's say you walk into this home and immediately you're greeted by the smell of apple pies. So your mind, that monitor, immediately places images of apple pie, which starts the digestive process. But let's say instead of a bunch of apple pies, it's actually just a candle that smells like apple pies. Suddenly, your body is prepping for something that isn't actually there. This is an inappropriate response. Another example is, let's say somebody's out playing tennis, and as they're swinging for the ball, they have the thought, don't hit the net, don't hit the net, don't hit the net. Where do you think the ball is going to go? Probably to the net. If I'm playing tennis, it's going to the net either way. But why? Why would the ball be more likely to hit the net when the player just said, don't hit the net? Remember that the thoughts we focus on will put something on the monitor. So when somebody says, don't hit the net, the image that they are focused on is the net. And the monitor immediately has the thought, okay, get to the net. And the subconscious mind will orchestrate and organize everything so that it goes to the net. The subconscious is that powerful that it will micromanage every little detail. So when one is focused on the net, your subconscious will move your foot, or it'll shift placement, or it'll move your elbow, your shoulder, your placement, the way you swing, so that it can achieve what it's most focused on. In this case, that being the net, which means that your probability of hitting the net dramatically increases. Remember that your subconscious mind doesn't know whether something is a good idea or a bad idea. It just knows what is a point of focus. To sum this idea up, you go where you look. The concept of you go where you look is super obvious with simple examples like walking across the floor, because you usually are going where you're looking, and if you're looking a different direction the whole time, then you're eventually going to bump into something. With tennis and other sports, this should be just as obvious. What the tennis player should be saying and focusing on as he swings for the ball is deep in the corner or over the net. Now, the player will not be perfect at this every single time, but doing this and focusing on where he wants to end up, rather than the obstacles, dramatically increases the probability of him achieving that goal. So what does this have to do with fear? Well, it's fear of hitting the net that causes the player to focus on the net more than achieving his goals. Not only does fear cause us to focus on the outcome we don't want, but fear itself is a focus on that which we don't want. Fear is kind of like putting a down payment on something that we're trying to avoid. Fear causes us to have a laser focus on the wrong forecast, and then sends that message to our subconscious and does everything it can so that it will be a self-fulfilling prophecy. Most people live in fear. They have fear of bad weather, fear of natural disasters, fear of being alone, also a fear of love. Fear, though, doesn't stop bad days from happening. In fact, it increases the probability of bad days and days with bad news, and not only that, but it makes them harder to deal with. For example, a person with a fear of rejection might feel the feeling of rejection even when they haven't been rejected. Someone who lives in fear of getting sick or being sick is more likely to get sick. You probably know somebody, or maybe you're somebody who's terrified of getting sick, and you get sick all the time. And then the times that you're not sick, you might feel sick. Someone with a fear of not fitting in will probably find it much harder to fit in. Fearing things does nothing good for your life. It is a waste of time. It is a waste of energy. Fear is a topic that I will be talking about a lot, and how to overcome it. It is so essential that we do not fall into societal norms or the status quo when it comes to fear. We live in a world that is governed by fear, where the dominant emotion is fear. People rule other people through fear. We live in a world where fear is the dominant emotion, when faith, courage, and happiness really should be. Will Smith said, "The only place fear can exist is in our thoughts of the future. It is a product of our imagination, causing us to fear things that do not at present and may not ever exist. That is near insanity. Do not misunderstand me. Danger is very real, but fear is a choice." And I echo the words of Will Smith, that danger might be real, but fear is a choice. And not only that, it's a choice that does not help the situation, and it does not cause the danger to go away. Remember that you are a person who is designed to overcome. You can and you will overcome your fears. And in some cases, you will do the right thing despite your fear. That's called courage. You are courageous.